All right, before we get started tonight, I'd like members of the Ray family to come down and join myself, the city manager, and our vice mayor, Jeff Knapp. Hey, just come down here. I guess she got left at home, maybe. So I have here with me Dottie Ray, Kenny Ray, and Keith Ray. These are Tom Ray's sons here, and of course his lovely wife, Dottie. And as we always present an outgoing council member, we have a plaque in recognition of Mr. Ray's service here. Unfortunately, due to his untimely death, we're having to present that to his family here tonight. But this plaque reads, "In loving memory of Tom Ray, City Council Member 2005 to 2015, in recognition of exceptional leadership and devoted service to Ward 3 and the City of Bethany, presented posthumously 2016. Dottie, on behalf of myself and the City Council, we just want to thank you for sharing Tom with us for those awesome 10 years that he gave such dedicated service to the city. No one in this town cared more about the parks, for sure, than Tom. I know he spent countless hours driving through those throughout the course of his parks chairman tenure. So we appreciate you guys and want to know that we love you. And on behalf of the city, thank you for allowing Tom to serve with us.
It was his pleasure, I know. He loved it.
All right. Thank you. So we're presenting this to the Ray family, but I've asked if it was okay, and Dottie had said it was. We're actually going to put that here in the council chambers with his council picture, since he's was a sitting member that passed away while on the council. So we want to honor him and always remember his service and his dedication. So
Thank you.
thank
very
you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For allowing us all to gather here again one evening, Lord. We just pray, Lord, that you'll be with our state and federal leaders, Lord. Be with this council tonight, Lord. Help us do all what's in the best interest for this city. In your name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Please turn and face the flag. Attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. The first item on tonight's agenda is the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items? Or?
Motion to approve, please.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I will second the motion, but I'd also ask that Steve Hartzman give an explanation of Civic Plus, because I think our constituencies would like to know about it. So whenever that's appropriate.
Okay. Do you want to do that now, Steve? Or?
We can do that now. As all of you know, the website that we've had, we very much got what we paid for. It cost us nothing. The website itself cost us nothing, and the security was costing us about $750 a year. So basically, Civic Plus is a company that we'd been looking at for many years. We actually had a committee, I think, a couple of years ago, and Civic Plus is who came to the top, floated to the top of the committee. They came down and talked to us a couple of times. They maintained contact with us over the years. They came down and talked to us again, and basically, when they gave us the cost was a lot. And they came back then and said, well, we understand that Oklahoma law won't allow you to actually lease, but what about this? And they kind of allowed us to make payment, not really make payments every year, but basically we're just paying for the service every year. It can be canceled every year, but we are getting a fantastic, and I made a list of what we're going to get from this website. We're going to get live our live video feed. We're going to get fantastic coverage. We're going to get a website that is second to none. There are several locations in Oklahoma you can go to. The first one that pops to mind is Edmond. Edmond, Ardmore, Guthrie, Ponca City. You can go to over 2,200 other state, municipal sites throughout the United States. I mean, this is a big time website, and I think that the difference between what we have now and what we will have in the future is going to be incredible, and I think you'll be very pleased with it. There's also going to be differences in the way that we present it, the way that it won't just be me trying to put something together. We're going to have multiple employees working on it. We're going to have employees from every department putting things together. We're going to try to involve the public, the schools, the colleges, and just try to make it a website like you can go to these other communities and see their website, and just it's really fantastic what is available out there, and that's what we're going to try to put together for Bethany. So, any questions?
I want to thank you for finally getting us to a point that we will have a user-friendly website.
We will
And
have
the work on Channel 20 also.
we will have a website where we can send, well, first of all, we can get forms. People can fill out forms and send them in. We will have a website where you can get, when we have job openings, you can actually get them sent directly to you as a citizen looking for a job. It's just what is available is incredible. So, and yes, Channel 20 we got our final training today, and Channel 20 is officially ours starting in the morning. We'll have more information every day on Channel 20. That's been pretty long, drawn-out process, but I think it's LM Ross is the people that we've been working with, and they have basically, we've started over with that. We have now a system that is safe, whereas what we had before, we're actually kind of lucky it wasn't working, because if it was, we had some major security flaws with it. Now we have a system that's a lot safer. So, anything else? Any questions?
One other question that I
Yes,
do
ma'am.
have is that in change of staff, we will have multiple people that will be aware of how to operate it, so we won't be caught like we've been caught in the
Yes,
past.
ma'am. We will have
Okay.
books that they can actually look up and how it works. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Instructions.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you for all your work so
You bet.
far on that.
You bet.
Been a long time coming, and looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing a new brand and identity out there.
I'm looking forward to having something that we can be proud of
Absolutely.
on the internet. So,
Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, we do have a motion and a second for the consent docket. Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 2 is call to the public. If any member of the audience wishes to address the council, step up to the podium, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, my name is Gilbert Carlson. I live at 2601 North Rockwell. Over the last several months at this horseshoe, I've heard one word repeated more frequently than in any time in the last 10 years. And you know, that's all right. It's a good word. It's a safe word. You can use it. It's called library. And I'm here tonight to plug my wife's favorite charity, the Friends of the Library. You've seen in your utility bill that there's a big book sale this weekend. We'd like to thank John and the city, and particularly Linda upstairs, for her work in putting that publication together. The sale is this Saturday and Sunday at the fairgrounds from 9:30 to 5 o'clock. There will be thousands of people that come from as many as 25 states. This is one of the largest book sales in the United States. There are over 900 volunteers that put this on. There are over 700,000 volumes to choose from. Last year they got me to volunteer driving a big Freightliner box truck that didn't have a backup camera. This time I'm going to be in a wooden box making money, so we'll see what happens, if that's any better than the last go-round. If you are interested, the books, typically hardbacks are $1, softbacks are 50 cents in the general area, and then they have a collector's choice where books are priced at a larger amount. The money that's raised, which is typically right at $250,000, goes back to the libraries for items that are not subject to being budgeted. One of the big items is the annual awards banquet to recognize those employees who are retiring, special presentations. They will furnish portions of libraries where the budget doesn't permit it, special equipment on trucks, and sometimes a whole delivery truck. These are all items that they disperse through the years. My wife is gone every Wednesday sorting the books, and if you are interested in becoming a member of the Friends of the Library, the annual dues are $15. You get the opportunity to come in Friday night ahead of the teeming masses, and it's quite a show to watch all the folks that come in. They come in with garbage cans and everything else to haul the books off. Many of them are professional dealers. It's really quite an interesting thing, and it's a good part of our community. The $15 provides you one free ticket, and I'm not going to bribe the city council, but I'm going to give my tickets to the folks out here. Thank you, and hope to see you there this weekend.
Mr. Carlson, how many years has the library sale been going on, do you know?
I don't know. My wife's been involved in it for 20 years.
Yeah, John
so-
and I have been going for probably that long, too.
Yeah.
It's a fun event to go to.
Yes.
Gilbert, would you say again where it is?
It's in the Oklahoma Expo Hall, which we used to know as the Made in Oklahoma building. And it's divided into two sections. It's got the collector's choice, which is the rarer publications, and then the general, where everything is one price. And if you don't like to read, the people watching is great.
Thank you, Gilbert. Anyone else care to address the council? Hearing or seeing none, I will move on to item 3, which is a public hearing item. Consideration and possible approval of ordinance number 1912, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bethany, Oklahoma, Title 15 by adding a new section 155.07 pertaining to landscaping requirements for land development, providing for purpose, definitions, requirements, required area of landscaping, landscape materials, and plan, landscape plan contents, maintenance and enforcement, repealer, codification, and severability, and declaring an emergency. Item 3A is consideration and possible approval of ordinance number 1912 on reading by title only. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Please post your votes for reading by title only. Thank you. Go ahead, David.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bethany, Oklahoma, Title 15 by adding a new section 155.07 pertaining to landscaping requirements for land development, providing for purpose, definitions, requirements, required area of landscaping, landscape materials and plan, landscape plan contents, maintenance and enforcement, repealer, codification, severability, and declaring an emergency. This ordinance came to you from the Planning Commission and was developed by the Planning Commission after several months of study. It has 4 enacting sections and a separate section 5, the emergency clause. And I think Danielle has a staff report on it.
Go ahead, Daniel.
While Danielle is setting up her report, I think you do need to know that the Planning Commission has spent a lot of hours researching this. It's going to be a great addition when approved to our Code of Ordinances. I can just picture what the new Dollar General might have looked like without some landscaping. And this is the purpose for the ordinance, is to have a way to enforce. We just asked them to do it, and they did it. But the next group may not, and that's why you have to have laws. It's for the lawless. Danielle?
Good evening. This was started back in October.
I've got a question. Did we vote on section B?
Not yet. We're going to have a staff report first.
Staff report first.
This started back in October when Commissioner Carlson asked staff to kind of look into what cities were doing for landscaping. And so we looked at 5 different cities. We looked at
Danielle,
Oklahoma City.
Pull the mic to your mouth.
Is that a little close? Okay.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. We looked at Oklahoma City, Yukon, Mustang, the Village, and War Acres. And after kind of a brief looking through, we decided that looking at War Acres and the Village was a little bit better just because of the size of the communities. So we felt that looking at those would kind of give us a better idea of having a landscape ordinance. So then we started looking at that and determined a model looking at the Village and War Acres, primarily looking at non-residential development and redevelopment. Then we drafted the ordinance, and we came back to the Planning Commission with that. There's a couple additions that was at the last commission meeting, which included looking at larger residential development, primarily of 6 dwelling units or more, and or 3 acres or more of development. There was no letters of protest that was received. We did receive one phone call inquiring whether or not it was going to include residential properties as a whole. I explained that it was not. It was mainly for a non-residential or larger residential development. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Council members, any questions of staff?
Yes, what was the initial cause for this? Increase the looks of Bethany, make it more beautiful, or what?
Partially, yes. Partially looking at just kind of making the commercial businesses look more appealing and just kind of helping beautification of Bethany. But it also helps with like stormwater runoff, where you're not having it just kind of taking away some of that concrete that in place of landscaping, that you can kind of help with the runoff of for stormwater as well.
I wasn't real clear in the landscaping location in relationship to the easements, the utility easements.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be allowed to do landscaping other than grass? I mean, would they be able to put up like a small retaining wall or a little brick curb or, anything that should the utility companies have to get into, the city included, they're going to have to tear that up.
Right, and it wouldn't be within the easements necessarily.
So is this allowing for it to be built in that easement?
Well, it depends on what it is. I think the way it's kind of left is to be up to kind of staff to look at, but ultimately we wouldn't want it within the easements, because you're right, if we did have to get in there to replace any water lines, sewer lines, electric lines, gas lines, whatever, then there could be some problems. So I think what it's referring to is primarily just being able to have an opportunity to have that for staff to kind of determine whether or not where the location of the landscaping is within the easement.
If I'm hearing you, you're saying that staff can make the decision whether a rock wall goes across the utility easement. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, because it's got to be submitted as part of their site plan.
So you're making, we are making the final decision as far as the materials when it goes in.
Right.
Correct.
And
So they can't-
location of those materials. Due to the fact that it has to be part of the site plan, we would be able to control and say, well, we're not going to allow this there because you're putting this over our water line or ONG's gas line or whatever that would be.
Correct.
And then I think the only other concern that I had was in D, the required area, where we're covering the sides and the front. But a lot of times you might have a situation where the development or enhancing of the development, it would occur that it might back up to, say, in our situation, a neighborhood or residence or something. So do we already have ordinances in place to cover that, or should it be covered here?
We don't have any ordinances currently that cover that, so I would say if you want something like that, then I'd probably go ahead and include it within the landscape ordinance itself. Most of the other cities I looked at didn't have anything as far as the rear lot, the rear side of the lot, so I'd imagine that they didn't run across that
We do
necessarily.
have the fence, but I guess my question is, just the latest development that we've had, Dollar General, I drove by there today, and they have trees up against the fence that backs up to the apartments, and I thought, I like that.
Right.
And I don't remember reading it. And so I thought, if it was a neighborhood, that might be nice to have. So I don't know if there's something.
Well, but it does only state that 75, at least, to the extent practical, at least 75% of the landscape lot area shall be in the front or side yards and visible from public or private streets and
doesn't
access the
have
property.
to.
But, so that says that 75% of it at least has to be out there. But, that's leaving 25% that's going to probably have to be to the backside. And again, as staff reviews those, if it's this, the council's policy that a portion of that be to that backside, to the extent practical and possible, then I would imagine we could control that as they come in.
How'd you trust us then?
But it does say that, leaving that 75% to the front, I would imagine some of that is to the rear or to a side not seen as accessible per se from city street.
When you speak of the side, are you speaking a side that may go down a street or the side that may go down a property line?
Either.
It doesn't, it just says front or side yards and visible from public or private streets, so.
So buildings are built zero lot line, there's no way they can go down the side.
Well, and then in those, it says to the extent practical, so in a situation where it's not practical because of an ordinance or whatever that is, being a zero lot line piece of property, then staff will have to work with them to make sure that what property is remaining that's practical to be landscaped is to that standard.
Just has to get in a squabble within.
Well, the fact of the matter is, we get in squabbles all the time with people over what they submit as a site plan, and, their architect says this is all you need, and staff says, well, no, it's not, because that's not what our ordinances say. And so, we get into those on probably practically everything submitted, John, do we not? To some degree or another. There are some that have built around enough to know what they need to do to meet those requirements, but, I know it's not, it's never just simple and easy.
This ordinance is one that the planning and zoning heard a lot of different times. They've spent a lot of time on it, and it's probably not perfect, but it's a great start, and I would ask that we approve it as a good starting point, and then if we see there's an issue, it's certainly not too late to back up. But Mr. Shire, to your point, only the CBD has the zero lot lines. The rest of them have some setback on the side. So,
CBD?
yeah, you can build right up to
Yes,
the
I
lot line.
understand that, but you go down on 39th Street, along 39th Street, there's zero lot lines starting at probably our property or the Bethany property on the very west side of town, and up through there's a small shopping center that has zero lot lines.
Yeah, there are some that are already built, but this is not retroactive. This is
I understand
for new
that, but,
development.
I intend to
So,
address that subject in a minute also.
Okay,
I'm excited that we're beautifying Bethany.
yeah, it's a great,
Thank you.
great start.
Any other questions of staff, council members?
How would this affect redevelopment downtown? Where there is no place for landscaping. Say there is a building fire and it's a complete redo.
It would be a
They would be required to comply with it to the extent possible. But like mentioned, if you had one of those buildings along 39th Street, there's no place in the front to put landscaping. Only place it could be would be in the back, I would think. So that would have to be an exception to the ordinance of the way it's written.
So you're saying if that was the case, they would have to, they couldn't zero lot line it up the side, since everything is zero lot line. It would have to be in the back area back there.
Well, you'd have a conflict between these two ordinances is what would happen. One ordinance says you can build zero lot line, the other one says you have to have landscaping along the side, so they would be in conflict.
So how would that conflict be?
There are no signs.
I would say it would be impossible to comply with the landscaping ordinance
So no, you
in the
couldn't do
CBD,
anything.
yeah.
You couldn't do anything then.
Except in the back, you could.
So 25% in the back, or would it be 75% in the back?
I don't know. I think that would be within the discretion of staff in reviewing the site plan of how to deal with that. Possibly they require more in a smaller area. They might have to go to the Board of Adjustment for a variance. That'd be another option.
If we know that something is going to be an issue, why don't we just cover it before we put this into effect?
I think that might be good, but I would warn you against excluding the CBD from this ordinance, because that includes a much broader area than that string of buildings along 39th Street. It goes over here to 36th and Penile and 36th and Donald, so.
Sixth and Donald.
So can we say zero lot line buildings or
Well,
something?
a new building, zero lot line could go at 36th and Donald too.
Could we not put something like, if it, unusual circumstances, you know the wording, but some unusual circumstances, it needs to come before the council?
I believe there's some wording in there that
I
talks
thought I
about.
read something like
To the
that, and
extent practical.
if it's already
Right.
covered,
Yeah, I mean, I think staff can work within the language of to the extent practical. I mean, if it's not practical because it's zero lot lines and it's a concrete parking lot backing up to the building in the back, I mean, I don't see staff saying, well, no, you're gonna have to bust up part of the concrete and plant plants here. I mean, that, to me, seems impractical. So, I mean, I think what few issues we have in a couple of unique circumstances that may or may not occur over who knows what period of time, I mean, I would rather just let staff deal with that according to the language they have here, rather than trying to wordsmith this around something that may not ever happen. Knock on wood, doesn't happen, as Mr. Herron mentioned, a fire and having to rebuild. And just allow staff to be able to navigate through this with the language they have with, to the extent practical.
Yeah, Part E of the ordinance says a landscape plan shall be required as a part of the site plan review process. The plan shall conform to the following requirements, and it gives the requirements. So if the owner decided that they didn't like that part of it, they've automatically bought themselves a trip to the Planning and Zoning Commission
And then
for
to
their
City Council.
review, and then to the City Council for their review. So there's your except for clause right there. Just tell them, hey, if you want to build to the lot line, go ahead, but you're not going to be able to comply with the rest of the ordinance. So the City Council will ultimately decide what your landscaping requirements
And this
are,
will
and
be-
there you are.
This will be applied very stringently,
Sure.
so that there is no ifs, ands, or buts about.
Well, just like staff does now very stringently, I mean, to the T, with plans and proposals that do not meet the site plan requirements. So that's why we see a fair amount of them here in front of us. And then other times we don't. But I mean, a majority of those seem to come before the council because people either choose not to or are having trouble meeting all of those checklist of requirements.
Don't want to.
Yeah, more often than not, it's because they want to roll the dice and come before this body or P and Z first and see if they can get approval or a recommendation to come here so that maybe they don't have to comply with part of the paving. It seems like that's the biggest one, is people wanting a paving covenant because they don't want to bring a street up to city standard or whatever it is. Well, this would be no different. They would be required to follow this, just like paving and all the other enumerated things out in the site plan.
on the second page, it says when you can't meet the minimum requirements, you have the city council will have the authority to reduce the requirements. I mean, that's about as good as you can do in general, you know. But I'm sure there are going to be other circumstances where, other than the CBD, where someone won't be able to
Sure.
meet the exact requirements.
Or they won't want to, and it's going to come before us anyway because they're going to be requesting that.
We would rather mow cement than grass, so
Well, you know, I'm of the opinion that
Satisfied.
this whole ordinance is for one thing, and that's to increase the ambiance of the city of Bethany. And it doesn't seem to be that difficult of a thing to do. I mean, it's not that much. But what I'm more concerned about is in the last 2 or 3 years, we've only had 5 or 6 buildings built within the city of Bethany that would have required this to be done to. And we have hundreds of buildings in the city of Bethany that it's not, it doesn't help the ambiance of the city of Bethany to just have 5 little oases out here. And the rest of the city of Bethany does not have any.
Well,
And granted, there are a number of areas in Bethany, just like we have been discussing. It's going to be totally impossible to make a good landscape plan on the amount of property that they have. But I think we should do something to start in that direction.
Well, I agree with you on the premise that, there would have only been a handful in the last several years. However, we are on the cusp of a pretty large redevelopment down 39th Expressway. No doubt after the Children's Center building gets open, that is hopefully going to help a new dynamic sweep through here. We have 2 more large pieces of undeveloped property out near the lake. So with this in mind and hopefully ultimately property now that is built out, maybe being redeveloped along the way, this will allow us over time to turn the city into something beautiful and maintain that in perpetuity as property continues to be redeveloped to a point where we're talking tear down and new build out. This will help.
But could this be tied to the issuance of a building permit to remodel a building and require this to be taking place as a foregone part of issuing that permit?
I mean, I guess that would be possible. I would imagine language could be added that
Yeah,
if
I
a certain
think-
percentage of
I think
remodel or
that-
construction takes place.
Yeah, I think you'd have to establish what kind of permit. I mean, I think it'd be more than just repainting the inside of the building.
Well, I think so
but,
too, but exterior,
And there are certain, you don't get a permit for most remodels.
not in the city of Bethany, you don't, they just go do it.
Well, I don't think the ordinance requires it unless there's structural changes or electrical or plumbing.
That means changing one light bulb 10 foot down the street, as far as I'm concerned, is a construction change in that, which would cover all of them.
I
But
don't
as
think
you're
that's the
saying,
way
though,
it's enforced.
a beautification of just the exterior of the property wouldn't necessarily be a permitted, if somebody was coming in and putting a new facade, be it,
Facade on
yeah,
a building?
be it bricking a building that was metal before or whatever it is.
That's what I'm saying, yes. And I'm also saying if a person comes in and wants to move into, say, a 6,000 to 8,000 square foot building and has to go in and remodel it to put offices in that building, that should be a requirement that building be brought up to these standards.
I'm sure that could be incorporated into it. I think the mechanics of how that would work should be studied because I think the requirements to get a remodeling permit are kind of limited, so that the key may not be the permit. So I would suggest if you want that inserted, you refer it back to the planning commission and let them study the way to incorporate that in.
Well, and what I would, I mean, if we're going to do that, what I would suggest is we adopt this and have us a place to start, and then if somebody tomorrow comes in with a set of plans to build something, you know, we're able, or within 30 days, if the emergency clause isn't put in, then, you know, we can be under at least that, and then we can go back and look at adding that within this ordinance, within its own ordinance. I don't know where that would need to be, if it would go under this, if it would need to go under something else, but.
I think everything is being developed in the city of Bethany at the present time would not really fall under this because the people that's going to do it are going to do it. They're that good as citizens. And
But you never know tomorrow who shows up that maybe doesn't want to focus on what the exterior looks like, and this helps force them to do that.
well, I think we should tie this ordinance into something other that's going to increase or enhance the beauty of our city in years to come, and letting old buildings sit here and just deteriorate and not bring them up to standards is something we can't allow. Because we have been for years trying to get that to happen, and I don't see anybody going out and doing any kind of a landscaping on some of these older buildings. We can't even get these people to quit selling their products in right-of-way, let alone enhance the right-of-way.
So can we go ahead and make a motion to get this on the books, and in the same motion, direct staff to further look into this issue? Can we do that, or does it need to be two separate ones?
I would separate them out.
My preference would be to follow the motion schedule that is listed on your agenda to approve 1 through 4 of the ordinance. And you could then add to that and refer the existing structure aspect back to the planning commission.
Okay, can I make that motion?
Sure. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
He's worded perfectly.
Is there any other questions or discussion, comments? Thank you, Danielle. Please post your votes. Item C is the emergency section, consideration and possible approval of Section 5 of Ordinance Number 1912, the emergency section. Do we have such a motion?
Is it needed?
Not really.
I mean, it's just all in whether somebody comes in within the next 30 days with a set of plans we're unaware of to start construction on something, and
I'll make a motion.
the fact of the matter is, it doesn't affect anyone that currently has plans in front of us, so, I mean, whatever they turn theirs in, I would imagine under the site plan would.
We'll go ahead.
I think we ought to not vote the emergency clause in, and give our planning and zoning people an opportunity to act on it within a month.
Okay, please post your votes. All right, so that fails. Is that
That
right?
didn't pass.
Okay.
That ordinance will go into effect in 30 days.
Item 4 is appointments to the Board of Adjustment. Item 4A is Ward 2, Mr. Louis Allen. Anybody from Ward 2 want to say anything? Or?
Allen, to be moved to the Board of Adjustment. This is something he has looked at before. Whenever I say that, he's wanted to kind of cut back just a little bit on the number of meetings, and Board of Adjustment meets less often than the Planning and Zoning. Do want to state that Louis Allen has done a great job on the Planning and Zoning. Appreciate his years of service on the Planning and Zoning.
Okay. Do we have a motion to appoint him?
Motion to appoint him.
All right.
Second.
Is there any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Item 5 is appointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have item 5A, which is also Ward 2, Ms. Ethel Sayer.
Ethel Sayre has served on the Planning Commission and is willing to continue. She's done a great job for us. And then do you want us to go ahead with the appointment of Mark Long?
That would be fine. We can take 5A and B together
And
since they're both
Mark Long
yours.
is here tonight, but we're appointing him to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and just really proud that he's wanting to serve with us, and his bio is attached.
All right, perfect. Would you ladies like to make a motion on items 5A and B?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Is there any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Thank you. Welcome aboard, Mr. Long. Look forward to having you serve on our P&Z. Item 5 is the at-large appointment, Mr. Ron Burchett, which is my appointment to P&Z. Mr. Burchett has served for a number of years on Planning and Zoning. He currently serves as chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Ron and I had lunch the other day. He is doing a fantastic job on P&Z. I've asked him to continue, and he has graciously accepted that. So I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Ron Burchett to Planning and Zoning. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 6 is discussion and possible action regarding direction of the 2016 Bethany Freedom Festival. The other day, I was up here at City Hall, and Linda Warner, who is feverishly working, as she always does this time of year, on the 4th of July, caught me as I was going up to talk to Steve, and she had a question, and it was one that I thought maybe we should just bring to the council, and let the council give some direction on. I'm sure part of this stemmed from the fact that obviously John is leaving. She's wanting to make sure that, you know, as she moves along here and makes some decisions, that she's doing what she needs to be doing on the festival. Of course, what I assured her was that my thought was that she should do as she's done in years past on planning for the festival and move forward, that I definitely have not heard anyone say anything other. Her question specifically related to the stage and what we pay for the stage and to have a band out at the 4th of July. For the stage and sound, we were quoted this year $10,029.90. And the band in 2015 was $1,800. So we're not 100% sure where we're at this year on that, but we're probably looking at least a minimum there of $1,800. So that's a grand total of $11,829.90 for the stage and for the band. I think, you know, my opinion is, I mean, people do listen to the music there, but I don't know that they wouldn't listen to anything we had, whether that was just piped through the festival grounds or whether that's truly a band live out on the stage. Most people aren't sitting over there just listening to the band. It's hot during the middle of the afternoon. People start to gather for fireworks, but again, I don't know that they're paying as much attention necessarily to who specifically is on stage as much as they are just enjoying music and enjoying the festivities of the 4th of July. Of course, that being said, I mean, I guess if we had a large name like we've had sometime in years past, that's a different story. A large name that people, you know, truly draws people in, but that's its whole separate set of problems and issues, and we've proven that we lose more money when we have that type of scenario. So Linda's big question is, if we did away with the stage and sound, they've quoted just $4,516 $4,516 for sound only. That would be located where you could actually hear things throughout the park. And I don't know exactly how they set that up, but it would be a series of speakers spread out so that you can hear pretty much regardless of where you're at. And obviously, then we save the band costs. So, I mean, you're talking about $7,800 somewhere, $7,300 somewhere in that neighborhood that we save by simply not having the stage set up and then not having a local, smaller local band come out and play. So the purpose tonight was to be able to kick that around and get some input from the council of what the council would like to see. If you'd rather save the money, we can have a good mixture of music piped through of top 40 country, stuff that people would recognize and the majority of the people out there would appreciate. You can mix it up with that group of Christian music, older classic rock. Obviously nothing crazy, nothing, no death metal or rap or anything like that. But I think unless Mr. Shirey would prefer one of those, I don't know. I guess.
Maybe some hard rock.
Yeah.
Hey, hard rock goes back to my time.
John says he wants some Boston.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
John won't be here, so I
right.
don't know that I want John's
Well, I
opinion.
think he will be here. I don't think he's going to go.
I hope John is
Too far from home.
participating, just with a different hat on, so to speak.
Have you thought about the possibility of a DJ or something like that to spin this or?
Oh,
There you go.
I mean, I'm sure we could look at that. You're back to spending at least that, if not more. And again, I mean, I think with an iPhone, an iPod, an internet connection on a computer, I mean, you can stream music for days on end. If somebody has an account with, there's several different companies that stream music that you can do commercial free, but we could easily set that up where it's just good background music throughout the day, which is really all the band provides anyway, and yet we have to pay decent money for the band and their stage.
I would
You're
be
speaking more
interested.
or less of putting in a speaker system around the areas that are active. Say down at the what do you want to call it, the
Yeah, so I think it would come through the carnival. You'd be able to hear
Carnival
through the vendor booths, and hopefully, if it works out to the car show, then out that direction as well. So that now they usually pay their own music, but at least for the purpose of being able to make announcements and for people to be able to hear announcements such as lost children or whatever that is, which happens every year. I mean, the police department every year searches for kids that a parent can't find, or we've had imminent weather, or severe thunderstorms move in. So
as a safety factor, that now chasing your children down. But I'd like to have some country and western DJ out there.
Get you a dance floor out there and some hard rock.
No, not a dance floor. Or maybe we could put this off to some commercial thing that have a commercial business come in and sell commercials on this as well as play music, and we'd pay for it. And you know how I am.
well, I know Linda did mention that because I think one of the things in the past we tried to get like a radio station or something to come out and cover, and I believe, I mean, if they either weren't interested or it was going to cost us money to get them to come out and do a remote.
Yeah,
so I mean that,
cost
it's not one of those things that they're doing because they're trying to be a part of an event and get some listenership that way. It's a moneymaker for them to get them to even come out and set up a remote or whatever it is. So I mean, we've even not pursued those, just trying to keep the budget tightened down, not ballooning it up with other costs.
But we sell signs that goes all over everywhere. Why not sell radio ads in between songs?
you'll have to be the one that sells them. We have no staff to do the selling.
Well,
So-
we have no staff to sell signs?
No, well, that's the same, we send out the banner, we send out the invitations, and the same people apply. But if you want more advertising and more, if you want the radio stations to come in, you're gonna have to go
Well, I'm
sell
not
them. We
saying,
don't-
you know,
I mean, at that
we don't
point,
do it.
I mean, and remember, we had two different people that were in a position over, I don't know what period of time.
Well,
that
more than that.
well, yeah, actually, there was more than that, 3 or 4, that used to do a lot of this work, and then Linda helped. Well, when that position basically went away, or at least it wasn't filled anymore, that's pretty much stuck Linda, and now we're going to be one more shorthanded upstairs, and the fact that we're going to be minus a city manager, so that puts Steve doing his responsibilities plus John's responsibilities. I mean, Linda's plate's already full, so, I mean, these ideas could be great if we had somebody to do them.
I would like to suggest that we go ahead with the sound only for this year, and then if we
We can
feel like
always
we
see how
need
it
to
works.
change that in another coming year, we can review that again.
And that truly is what I was inclined. I mean, when Linda and I first had this conversation, that's exactly what I told her. And then I said, well, let's get some direction from council, because what I don't want is to be the lone wolf on that of somebody saying, well, I think we should just do it this way.
Is that a
And
motion?
everybody else is upset. Okay, so Ms. Holloway's making a motion that we do sound only. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, is there any other questions or discussion? And again, this isn't
I
permanent.
just-
We'll do it this year. If it's a bust and we want to change it next year, it's easy to do.
I think it's important that we have this discussion because as I've talked to people about the Freedom Festival, they've told me that that's such a great moneymaker for the city. And just want to make it clear to the world, it is not a moneymaker for the city. Probably by the time we count the overtime for staff and the actual cost, we're looking at close to $200,000 a year for that festival. It costs a lot of money. I have a real problem with blowing up money, but that's my personal thing. I just don't like blowing up money. But it does cost us a lot, and if it's important to the citizenry, then we need to continue doing it. But it's not making money for the city.
And simple things as cutting this back, saving us, quite a few $1,000s is just one more way that we can trim some of this down, but yet still have a great celebration of our nation's independence. All right, please post your votes. Thank you. And Randy, I'll boost you up so that you can still.
I'll bring a ladder.
Okay. Item 7, consideration of possible action concerning legal actions and claims against the responsible parties concerning contamination of the public water supply of the city of Bethany caused by contaminants migrating from the Oklahoma City airport property, including consideration of authorizing city attorney to enter into an extension of the tolling agreement, extending the timeline to file suit until 9/1 of 2016, with a proposed executive session as recommended by the city attorney for discussion as authorized by the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, Section 307B4. Our first motion, should there be one, would be whether or not to enter into executive session. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Please post your votes. Thank you. We will be as brief as possible and recess into executive session. All right, I will call us back to order here in regular session. No votes were taken on item 7, just discussion in our executive session. Item 8 is consideration and possible adoption of resolution number 1406, authorizing the city attorney to enter into an amendment to the existing tolling agreement, extending the time to file lawsuits on claims for contamination of water supply until 9/1 of 2016. Do we have such a motion?
I'd like to move that we adopt the resolution 1406, please.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 9 is the city attorney's report. David?
All my items are listed on the agenda.
Item 10 is the city manager's report. John?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a short report due to the time, but teeming masses, I haven't heard that one in a while. And I will tell you that it's worth the price of admission to see the teeming masses. The first time Donna and I went, we had to park way, 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 way out, and I think I got my doors dinged up. You still owe me for the door dings, Gilbert. And I didn't really know which building it was in, and Donna said, well, we'll just follow all the people with the suitcases. And I said, why are they there with suitcases? And at 50 cents a pop for books and $1, that's why. So there were people wheeling suitcases full of books out of that building. It was actually quite a sight. And I got some good books there, and hopefully I'll get some more because I intend to go as often as I can to this deal. So if you just don't want to buy books, but you want some cheap entertainment, just go stand around and watch people get those books. It's different. And they do great work. They provide a lot of funding for a lot of projects for a library system that would not be available otherwise. Also remember, we're having our town hall meeting February 18th from 6 to 9. We'll have to be pretty much out of there at 9 o'clock. We're going to be locked in. So hope you all are invited. It is posted as a city council meeting, so if you want to come, be sure and show up. It's a good meeting to go over the progress of our comprehensive plan. And John has a financial report. John?
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to report that our January 2016 revenues were $4,604,000. And those revenues for last year were $4,265,000. And on a budgetary basis, our revenue was about $156,000, or 3.29% below our budget estimate. Our year-to-date expenditures on the general fund were $5,325,000. That amount is $757,000, or 12.5% favorable when compared to budget. Our net operating transfers increased that general fund by $331,000 to $3,152,000. The Public Works Authority total revenues through January 31st were $4,701,000, and that amount actually exceeded our budgetary expectations by $58,000. The operating expenses were $3,225,000. Our year-to-date operating transfers were $452,000 out, leaving a fund balance at January 31st, 2016 of $22,339,000. The Capital Improvement Fund, the revenues and transfers through January 31st were $125,000. The expenditures for the month of January totaled $176,000. $1,324,000 of our fund balance there has been reserved for primarily fire department equipment. Donations to the Blue Goose Restoration Fund are still on the books, and designated balance there is $3,950. And we have an unreserved fund balance there of $638,000. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, JR.
Thank you, John. Several of you have mentioned tonight that this is my last scheduled city council meeting to be your city manager. People have said, well, you don't have to look so happy about it. I am happy about it. This is something I've looked forward to, for a long time. When I joined the Army, it was so I could get out and go back to college. And so I did that. And then when I started work, it was so I could make a decent living for my family, live a good American life, live the American dream, which I think I have, and then retire and do something else. And some of my friends that are already retired have told me that you have to have something to retire to, not retire from. And they also have told me that you can't let other people plan your day. So I'm just going to let myself plan my day. Got a lot of fishing to catch up on, and honeydew projects around the house. But I want to say, thank you all for giving me an opportunity to serve. I've spent the majority of my adult life in public service. Most of the time it was fun. Sometimes it wasn't fun at all, but most of the time it was fun. But none of it would have been possible without my family, especially my wife, Donna, and my daughter, Rebecca. They stood by me when they probably shouldn't have. Should have kicked me out of the house or not let me back in when I show up at 11 o'clock or 12 after a budget meeting. But it's been very pleasurable, and I do appreciate the opportunity. You need to know that I'm leaving the city in what I feel good hands. I'm not talking about y'all. That's not up to me. That's up to the citizens. But you have a great staff. Steve's going to do a great job. I know he will. He's well prepared to step in and be your interim manager. All the department heads are all trained. They know their jobs. They're all going to do their job. I'm just telling you, though, you've got to stay away from them and let them do their job. Don't be calling them and bugging them and break the charter, okay? If you got to call and bug somebody, call Steve. Don't be calling JR or Caton or one of the chiefs. Don't do that. That's against the law. And I would ask you not to do that. I would ask you to honor a charter. If you can't do anything, honor the charter. And just so you won't be disappointed in me tonight, Randy, thunder up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on, John. I was really hoping for your new one.
Yeah, that too.
May the force be with you.
Oh, wait, may the force be with you. Okay.
And with you.
If you're not aware, John received an award recently from the Northwest Chamber, pretty much a lifetime achievement award, if you will, that the chamber gives out, specifically noting John's service, not just to the city of Bethany, but his service as a public servant as a whole. And as John went up and accepted this award and went through his deal, we're all kind of bracing for his thunder up at the end. And at the very end, he says, what is it, live long and prosper is what he gives the crowd. Just kind of threw us for a loop. But, of course, John's sense of humor always is throwing us for a loop, but no doubt something we'll miss. Councilmember Harris, we'll start with you tonight.
Well, thank you, John. It's been a pleasure to work with you. I think I met you on my first month in Bethany and came into your office and started talking about starting the Bethany Improvement Foundation, actually, and writing the history book and some of the things we wanted to do for our centennial. So I appreciate the support you've given the city, the information and advice you've given me over the years. And I know you will enjoy retirement. It's good stuff, so enjoy.
Thank you.
Councilmember Holloway.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank Don Prince for his service on the Board of Adjustments. Thank Louis Allen again for his time spent on planning and zoning and for the coming years that he will help on the Board of Adjustment. Thank Ethel Sear for her years on planning and zoning and her continued service there. And thanking Mark Long for joining the planning and zoning for us and serving the city. It was very great to see the Ray family here this evening. I appreciate them being here. I look forward to the book sale, and I just wanted to let people know that John was, whenever he was all excited about the book fair, that at the beginning he didn't say what he was really talking about. So I was going, I wonder what people think he's saying. No, but you did really well for giving kudos to the Metropolitan Library System and the Friends of the Library, John. Thank you. I'm glad that we're having the planning and zoning to review the landscaping for remodels. If I'm understanding, that's the way that that's going to be done. It's going to go to planning and zoning and be reviewed from our discussion tonight and the way that the vote went. It will be an interesting July the 4th to see what type of response we get from the citizens concerning the sound this year in the stage. For it being a little different, I would ask that the citizens stay in touch with us and let us know what they truly think about that. We do need direction in what way to go with the July the 4th. If it was just me doing it, I would be happy with having the parade and the fireworks. That would be fine with me. If there's other citizens that feel that way, I would like to hear from them, but I want to hear people that think differently than me also, because I'm a representative of the citizens and want to hear what they want. And John, thank you for your years of service. You've had yourself busy in many different areas, different boards that you've been on. I don't know if you're going to continue in those areas or not. I think you have the ability to do that if you choose to, and that would be a great help to those boards for you to do that. It's always great to have people that you've known for years and years that know people in your family that, for instance, my mom, you knew my mother, and so that's always good to have people that you can think back and have some memories and fondness of things that have happened in the past. And those will be things that I remember, and hope we have more good memories like that, and hope that you and Donna have many, many more years of good memories and fun.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Thank you. I want to thank Pat Brown, local attorney I've used for years. She's talked me in for years to be a sponsor of the YMCA, and she does a lot of tireless, good work for the Y, and she's making the rounds collecting right now. I'd also like to have the P&Z look seriously about making 23rd Street into a CBD. I don't know how feasible it is, but I know that Mr. Shire and I have talked to a lot of businesses that we've missed because of the zoning. And everybody I have talked to, and I would rather Mr. Carlson look at it, but to change that to CBD, I think could do nothing but help the 23rd Street district. And I'd like us to examine that and see how feasible that is. And that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lunstra.
Thank you, Mayor. John, thank you. We've shared a lot of things, a lot of dinners, a lot of conversations, parents, a lot of good times together. And I've always been astounded by your ability to keep a level head and always assured us to do what's right, no matter what the political sway goes, do what we think we need to do. And I appreciate your friendship above all, and your spirit, and your kindness, and the fact that, Donna, you have shared him so many hours over and above what a spouse should be asked to do. And you guys have been a blessing to my wife and I, and my mom and dad, and you've just been fantastic. And Becca should be very proud of her parents. Very proud. So, John, thank you. We'll look forward to a couple more times together, and then you throw that pole as many times as you can. And thunder up, brother. Thank you.
And live long and prosper. Councilmember Larson.
I understand that we have a new code enforcer, Dustin Nichols. I'm appreciative that we have filled that position. I think we have lots moving forward right now, and I appreciate that. And Mr. Hartzman, thank you for the work you're doing on Channel 20 and the website. I think I've talked about that for a number of years, and I can see improvement already, and I'm grateful for that. John and Donna, congratulations on your new future coming. I have to share that when John and I both ended up retiring, though we didn't plan it that way together, but we ended up about the same time doing it, we both were able to turn to each other and say, gee, I still like you. So I hope that you all experience that same thing. And it's an adjustment period. You have an adjustment period when you get married. You have an adjustment period when you have kids. You have an adjustment period when they get married, and you have grandkids if you have them. And then as you get older and you retire, you have another adjustment period. And I do pray for both of you that it will be smooth going for you, because it may not always be. I'm grateful for the information and the education regarding municipal government that I have learned from you. My stupid questions, you've never made me feel stupid. I thank you for that. I wish you well and a little less stress. I do thank you for the staff that you're leaving us. I think we have a tremendous staff. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Herron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to also thank you, John, for the years of service you've given to Bethany. I think you're leaving us with a good staff here. And thank you, Steve, for filling in. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shirey.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to say that, the best cheap entertainment, as we were talking about a while ago, is the Bethany City Council. That's got to be cheap entertainment. And with the acting city manager's improvement of the website, it ought to even get better. And I'm very happy to see that I hear more complaints about our website and the city council meetings not being able to hear, not being able to see or whatever, that I think this should enhance that, and I certainly do hope it does. I'm not saying it will, but you have done a very diligent job in laying the groundwork and taking care of this. And I know a lot more people will probably watch it if it's a better stage. And John, I don't know how many years you've been here, but it's been close to 20, I'm sure of that. And I've been here, well, I think maybe it's been longer than that.
Yeah,
Closer to 30 than 20.
It has.
Closer to 30.
You were here when I showed up.
No, I wasn't. You were born
know,
here.
It's it's been a pleasure working with you. It certainly has.
Thank you.
You do come up with some level-headed decisions that hotheads like me just don't think about. And I appreciate that, because as a city councilman, you don't want to make any of those hot-headed things that you'd have to live with down the road somewhere. And if I can pass this along to you in my standards, is when you retire, you should take some time off and rest your body and get your mind reset. There is a major resetting of the mind in retiring, because every morning you hear that alarm clock go off and you said, I've got to get to work. And you need to say, Mr. Alarm Clock, you don't control my life anymore. You
I'm
you
gonna
write that down, John.
Quotes to live by right there, folks.
I don't know that Donna agrees with that.
Well, I know Donna's not
Get you
retiring, and
You're going to get me in trouble, but we're
That's
still writing it down in the book.
my wife and I
listen to your wife.
retired at the same time, and our son was stationed in Sicily, so we went over there for 2 months and had a try to reset time and get things as well as we could. Now, if you can get your sweetheart to say, let's go to Canada, or let's say Mexico, let's go to Canada, or let's go back east, let's travel some, and get back to the life that you had when you first got married. That's the best reflection of your life that you will ever have, is reflecting back when you first get married, because that's probably the happiest time of your life. And then go out, but you're too young a person to just sit in the chair and watch television all day long, because it's just not that good. And you need something to keep your mind as active as you possibly can. And I hope you do that, because if you don't, you're not going to be happy.
I will do that. Thank you.
That's about as good as I can get, and I don't know. Well, we're about to close in on the trees in Bethany. I think by the end of the month, or by the end of the week, maybe the end of the month or so.
We had hoped to be through. Our lift truck is broken again.
Lift truck.
But we should be through by the end of the week with the first pass. And in fact, they've already started the second pass. So
Yes.
so we're within striking distance of being through with the pickup, and then it'll be mid-March or so before we're through with the incineration.
Well, I don't know whether that'll happen, because there's over 100,000 cubic yards
Yeah, there's a
of
lot there.
trash to be burned down there. And we're burning 2 burners all the time that we're allowed to burn them. If, they have a burn ban out, we can't burn. If it rains, we can't burn. But we hope to have that whole area back to normal by the 4th of July.
Sure, and if need be, we'll rent a tub grinder and then truck to haul the grindings off. But the way we're approaching it is the least cost to all the citizens and the easiest on the environment. And that's a win-win situation as far as we're concerned. But Steve is monitoring it, and hopefully we'll go to 2 shifts on the burning.
Yes.
So that'll give you 12 hours to burn instead of just 6 or so.
Well, that's what we need
Have
to do.
two-
And
have
that's
two-
been a
2
monumental,
machines right now going, yeah.
that's been a monumental task in the city of Bethany. It really has.
Yeah, when you don't have the income, you have to find less expensive ways to
You have to
get
find
the
a way
work
to
done.
do it, and it's been very expensive for us to do it, but it was the only way it could be done. I don't think, we couldn't have had the citizens clean up their own yards. And
Sure we could.
well, yeah, that's true, but we wouldn't have been very good stewards of the city of Bethany if we had.
I was just going to give them your telephone number if they were going to have to clean it up, so.
You can go ahead and do that. I'll start my business back up. So, you sit back and think, you're in for a major cultural shock retiring, and you just have to kind of roll with the punch, and it's not going to be an easy situation. It's not going to be, because you're a person that likes to do things. He likes to get things done, and you're not going to change from the time you're 20 or 21 when you got out of the Army and went to work. You worked for 25 to 50 years, and that just doesn't go away very quick. So, do what you can to get yourself settled down, and you'll enjoy life a lot more.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have to say.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilor
Mayor?
Sherry.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, and Councilmember Knapp, I just wanted to ask permission to make a couple more statements about the limbs, if I might.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Because we are going to have a second pass on the limbs, some of the questions that have been asked to me are, why haven't a particular pile of limbs been picked up, or if you have limbs still in front of your house, or if you know somebody else that does, have them check for other debris in the pile of limbs besides limbs, because we cannot pick it up if there's boards, if you've torn down an old building, or if you've done remodeling, you can't throw carpet on it. We cannot pick those types of things up. So just be sure that you only have limbs and it will be picked up. Also, if you have stacked your limbs and a portion of them have been picked up, be sure that they're not too far away from the curb. I've seen some stacks that are pushed too far back from the curb for them to be picked up. I don't know if people don't know this, or if they just haven't had time to go back and correct these things, the individuals that live at these homes or at businesses. Also, do not park in front of the limbs. Whenever they come along to pick them up, they cannot pick them up if there's a vehicle parked in front of them. So just, citizens, please, the city's trying to help as best they can. They've been working very, very hard. I think they've done a great job in saving money, the citizens' money, and also in a timely manner to get this done. This was a huge job. So again, congratulations to the city on the way that this has been handled. I'm very proud of you. It's just, again, sometimes the education doesn't get out to the citizens. They don't realize all the ins and outs of what has to be done. So again, if anybody's listening and you hear some of these rules to help get the limbs picked up, just share that with your neighbors. Don't withhold good information from them. Help them to get those limbs picked up. Move the limbs closer to the street. Remove any other debris besides limbs. Don't park in front of it. And if anybody else has something to add to that, I would appreciate
I do
it.
have something to add to that. There are gas meters in front of houses in Bethany.
Right.
And we need to be very careful about that, because our grapple truck, as we call it, has broken a trunnion, and it's going to have to be ordered, and it's going to be probably a month or two out to even get it fixed. So we're going to be picking these up with these little front end loaders, and they can't work around those sort of things, and they can't nibble away. And we need to make sure that the overhead, they're not stacked so high under overhead projections. That would be a problem.
Some people too have power lines, just as they
Yes.
have a gas meter, and that's just as dangerous right
That's
under the
just
power
exactly
line.
what I'm-
More so for the grapple truck than the skid steers, but nonetheless still an issue.
Yes, we definitely got to watch that, because it's our people that are going to be out if the gas meters broke off.
Right.
And we will be ultimately the person that's responsible for that.
Well, we'll be lucky if that doesn't end up as a catastrophic event.
Catastrophic event, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Councilmember Knapp.
Thank you. I'm a friend of the book sale, I have to say, which by default makes me a friend of the library. I was glad to hear some members mention that. I think the first time I went, and actually didn't plan to volunteer, but I took kids, little kids. My wife was working on her master's degree, and it was encouraged to go and volunteer. And we came home with a trunk full of books. I think one year we took a wagon. And but I just encourage everybody to take some kids out there and let them get a sack full of books. It's a great thing and doesn't cost that much.
Take a wagon, or not just a box, but a wagon or a trash can. On
Can-
wheels helps.
Can I bring a Tijuana suitcase?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever you can haul them in. They're inexpensive books. They need to cull some books. So I'd like to see a lot of people out there. Also, Thursday night, John mentioned, Thursday night is at the Children's Center. We have another community meeting. So just like to reiterate that. It was really good to see the Ray family, a lot of the family members here. I've known at least one or two of the Rays since I met my wife. So I've met some more along the way. I know the youngest ones were not here, but some of the younger ones were. My neighbor, Emma Hudgens, passed away Friday, and her husband Leroy, I just want to say just God bless them. They survived a house fire last year, and the fire chief, I think John happened to be there as well, and pretty much gutted their home. Tough crowd. They're in their 80s. Anyway, Emma passed away last week on Friday, and just also want to say God bless them again. Lastly, happy retirement, John. Congratulations, and thunder up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, I'll start out too thanking the Ray family. It was great that Keith and his wife Cindy were able to make it down from Tulsa to be a part of presenting them with a plaque recognizing Tom's service to our great city. Also, their two kids, Tom's grandchildren, Marshall and Lauren, for being able to come as well. Marshall's a student at OSU, so this is a school night, but he wanted to be a part of a ceremony honoring his grandfather, somebody he loved very much. So thank you, Dottie, for coming out and taking part in that, and we love you guys, and we'll continue to pray for you. Gilbert, thanks for your shameless plug for the library, the Friends of the Library and the book sale. Definitely a great event. I'm excited as we continue forward with our library project here in Bethany, some more exciting construction that's going on. And I sure hope we follow our landscaping ordinance on our new building. So be exciting to watch that pop up across the street here. And no doubt construction begets more construction, and that revamping and revitalization hopefully will spread through the neighborhoods and cause people to have some more civic pride. Wanted to mention this Thursday, Councilmember Larson had mentioned the events in the evening, but it's going to be a full day. We have a meeting starting in the morning here in the council chambers where we will be interviewing the three candidates that we narrowed it down for, the three firms for the executive search to look at replacing John's position. Very important meeting. Hopefully everybody can be involved in that. Tomorrow we'll be sending out, tomorrow morning, a form that if you want to use, fine. If not, you definitely don't have to, but something to kind of help maybe focus your thoughts as we hear from these groups. Councilmember Larson gracious enough to provide what they used when they were doing the library search with the architects. So we're, of course, adapting that to better fit management questions or for these search firms, but something that maybe we can kind of go through and grade as we hear from these people. So that starts at 9 o'clock. We've got one at 9, one at 10, and one at 11. Then we will stay here and hopefully be able to make a decision off of those three that we hear from as to who we would like to move forward with so that we can get this ball rolling as quickly as possible. No doubt something important that we need to concentrate on and see this through. We want to do that in a manner that's swift and efficient, but not too quickly that we don't make sure we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's, as obviously this is such an important position. So. And then, of course, the town hall meeting Thursday night at the Children's Center, will be a great event as well as we move forward with the comp plan. As mentioned, Dustin Nichols is making a transition from our police department. Dustin, I don't know how long has Dustin been with us? Not that long?
tonight.
So I'm going to be making a transition from the police department to our newest code enforcement officer. Of course, Mr. Justice also used to serve in our police department, but it definitely, I think, is a good transition for somebody. They are already used to dealing with the public on citation-type issues and issues where people aren't happy that you're out talking with them about a problem or an issue they have. So no doubt Dustin will do well. If you've ever seen Dustin, he is an impressive specimen, especially in uniform. He has arms about as big around as your head. So looking forward to having Dustin make that transition. As mentioned, Public Works doing just an absolute yeoman's job on picking up these limbs. I know people haven't been happy, and it's taken a little bit of time, but in all reality, with the equipment they have to work with and the amount of personnel they have to work with, we've actually done a pretty impressive job of getting this stuff picked up. As Mr. Shirey mentioned, the sheer volume of what we're talking about is pretty baffling. And as the truck is broken down now, it's broken down several times throughout this, and we've begged, pleaded, borrowed, stolen to try to get the truck back up and running, going to the mechanics that fix that. Just please, can you move this to the front of the line? I mean, we were in a desperate situation. I know you've got other vehicles, but please, 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 this is an important deal. And so far we've had good luck with that. Unfortunately, I think we're to a point now where it's not a part that is going to be here quickly. So we're going to have to finish up without it, but definitely something to be thinking about as we come up into a new budget year. Probably a piece of equipment that we ought to look at replacing. It's served us well, and when it has to work, man, it works tirelessly and gets pretty well abused. I mean, you're picking up heavy items with it, dropping it into the box, and in order to get that done in any decent fashion at all, you're working quickly, which that can take a toll on those hydraulic systems. So something definitely to think about. And as Councilmember Holloway mentioned, one of the reasons you may still have something sitting out in front of your home is probably because there's either other debris in that pile, and that is literally anything other than tree limbs. If it is not tree limbs, they will not touch the pile. Running the risk, if they do touch that pile, of disallowing all the previous work we've done on reimbursement with the federal government. So not something we take lightly. Or it could be as simple as there was a vehicle parked in front of your pile at the time they went by. I had a conversation with Mr. Caton recently. Interestingly, Public Works, the staff has been taking pictures as they go by of why they're not picking a pile up and sending that to Marla up at Public Works. So if you will call and maybe ask why your pile has been passed up, I bet they can tell you exactly why. Not to say that there haven't been mistakes made and you get to a point and you have to dump and you start back in a wrong spot. I'm not going to say we haven't made a mistake and just flat out missed a pile, but I would say 99 out of 100 of them have been with documentation of exactly why your pile was skipped, and they'd be more than happy to explain that to you. As I mentioned, Thursday we have a pretty full plate. That also is a day that the new Bethany Behavioral Health, which is a unit of Cedar Ridge Hospital, is going to also have an open house. And then I believe this coming Monday is when they open for business. Very exciting addition. It's a 56-bed mental health care facility for adults and geriatric patients. Honored and delighted to have that here in Bethany. It's going to provide some great jobs to our community, hopefully help with some things on 23rd Street with more volume and people supporting businesses. Ought to be a really good thing. Mental health, such a big hot topic here in the state of Oklahoma. We're incredibly short on beds in this state to house people that have mental illness issues. I've heard horror stories of our police department picking someone up and trying to get them to a facility and having to take an officer when there's only 3 on the street in Bethany and drive to Ardmore because that's the closest bed. That is not a good thing, and it costs cities, not just Bethany, but every city in the state, a lot of money in having to transport those patients. If we're lucky, you find a bed here in the metro, but increasingly that doesn't happen. So they're having to go further and further. So having 56 more beds, not only here in the metro, but right here in our town, is going to be a great thing. So definitely looking forward to them coming on and being a corporate citizen here in Bethany. And last but not least, John, we are having a reception for Mr. Schugert, much to his chagrin, on Thursday, February 25th, here at City Hall. So that's a week from this Thursday, which is John's second to last day before his retirement. So that'll be here in the council chambers from 2 to 4. John begged and begged to not have any ordeal made of this, but Linda and I decided that absolutely wasn't going to happen, mainly Linda, but I was more than happy to put my 2 cents in. But
Can't call in sick that day, right?
well, he can call in sick, but we'll go pick him up, so he'll be here for sure. Yeah, there you go. Or a squad car.
Will you cuff him?
Sure, we can do that. We've got several people that I'm sure would be happy to. So,
Can't leave town.
but John, in all seriousness, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the dedication that you've had to public service. Of course, I'm selfish. The service you've had to this city is what I'm most proud of you for. But your entire adult life being dedicated to public service, working for COTPA, and I can't remember who it was before that. But being a public servant, takes a special person, and I appreciate what you've done. Your years as finance director here and keeping us on the straight and narrow with the finances, and then moving into your spot where you are now as city manager. I think you were absolutely the right man for the job then, and I think you are today. I'm too am happy and proud for you that you're able to go out on your own terms and go enjoy retirement. No doubt that's something that I wish my own father could have experienced. Unfortunately, he worked too long. But I definitely support you and appreciative of your years of service. But I'm excited with you in the fact that you're able to open up a new chapter in life and to go enjoy some, first of all, some much needed rest from your day-to-day grind. I don't know how many times over the years that John's been our city manager that I've driven by here on a Saturday or, well after 5 in the evening, and John's pickup's out there. And it's not just because he's left his truck here and he's gone with Donna to dinner. I'll come into City Hall and his light's on upstairs and John's at his desk. Just the dedication that you've had. Nobody makes all the right decisions all the time, but what I'm proud of is that you've always stuck to what you felt was best for the city, what you have felt was morally right, and that you were obligated to do. You've always stuck with those guns, your moral beliefs and your code and character, and for that I thank you and commend you. But it has been a true honor and privilege to serve with you. I served briefly with Dan Galloway a few years as a council member. But no doubt you and I probably have worked closer together on a daily basis than probably any other member of the council, just due to the nature of the position. But I appreciate how easy you've made it on me, your counsel and your wisdom, and as I think it was Randy or somebody said, your level-headed approach. You are definitely slow to anger, and I appreciate that. Appreciate the sacrifices you've made, and Donna, you as well. No doubt it's extremely hard on a spouse when we have crazy meetings called, and some of those last entirely too long. But we definitely appreciate you sharing John with us and sticking by him and encouraging him to continue forward. But definitely happy for both of you that you can go enjoy this next chapter. So may the force be with you, John, and thunder up, and definitely look forward to still seeing you around town, and you'll always be somebody I consider a true friend. So thank you. Of course, we'll definitely have more. There'll be a special presentation at 2:30 here in the council chambers on Thursday, the 25th. So please come by and enjoy some refreshments and some time with John. And I'm sure we'll tell plenty of fun stories. So
You'll make them up.
well, that's exactly right. We will. We'll make up whatever stories we can't come by honestly. Item 12 is new business. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany City Council? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 1st, 2016. And hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Public Works Authority. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items? All right. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 2 is new business. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Public Works Authority? Hearing or seeing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 1st, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Hospital Trust. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Hospital Trust? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 1st, 2016. And hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Development Authority. We have the consent docket items 1A through C. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please post your votes. Thank you. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Development Authority? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 1st, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned, and that concludes tonight's business. Thank you.